How do you come to think about that balance between the hardness and the softness in men?
I'm still old school. I'm still very old school. Now there comes a point where it can be debilitating to those around me. Okay. If I bottle everything up inside so that I get to the point that I am toxic or debilitating to those around me, then I need to get some help. But as long as I'm not, I don't need to add more burden for them to carry. That's just me.
Can you be a bit more specific about what that is, how that shows up for you?
My wife has been encouraging me for a while now for me to go and talk to somebody. Just there's years and years and years of, I mean, there were a lot of rough years there. But I'm like, I can't do that. You know, I mean, I know the guy gets paid to sit there and, but it's just not necessary, you know? I'm still old enough and I'm of the school. It's like, just deal with it.
Suck it up.
You know, I broke 3 ribs one time in a barn, saddling horses, horse threw a fit, took 8 aspirin and got on that horse and did a 4-hour ride because I had a job to do. It's my job. Now I know, let's go back to balance. Okay.
I was about to mention that.
I understand. I'm with you 100%. But at the same time, your balance and my balance and his balance are different. And so I think a man has to find his own balance. And you're going to get so many messages on there disagree with this. But I think that this thought of men's mental health, emotional health, go get help, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's out of place, but I think like everything else, I think it could be taken to the point that men just become weak. And brother, let me tell you, in this day and age, we don't need more weak men. Now when your internal battles come to the point that you need help because they have weakened you, then get help, you know. But I think everybody's balance is different. And I fear there was a problem for years on this side, but I fear just like everything else, with that subject being pushed the way it is, we're going to get out of balance on the other side. And it's like, and everybody needs therapy for everything.
This is the nuance, I think, around what we were talking about, type A problems, type B problems.
Right.
Because it's easy to just take that as a one single meal on a plate as opposed to multiple different pieces.
Right.
Or a onesie
Right.
that you put on
Right.
as opposed to an outfit that's piecemeal and put
Right.
together. So there's a British writer called Matthew Syed who's coming on the show soon. And the interesting thing about tennis as a sports reporter is that you had 3 phenomenal world champions all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You had Nadal, you had Djokovic, and you had Federer. And he used to go to Wimbledon and he would see how they were warming up. And each had a different approach. So he'd go and see Nadal and he's just raw aggression, his top's off and he's hitting the ball as hard as he could and he's sort of just fury. And then he'd go and see Djokovic and he's like a robot. And this guy's precise, precision, rationality. And then he'd go and see Federer and he's playing trick shots. He's laughing and he's having fun and he's sort of flirting with the ball girls and stuff like that. And each of these guys have won titles while all of them have been playing and they've traded places, some on this court, some on a different type of surface, etc. But if you were to look at any of them and say, in order for me to be a world champion, I must be, okay, well, which one? Because all of them were world champions.
Yes.
And this is, I think, you're right. The message may largely have swung too far back toward the you cannot deal with any difficulty. You must prioritize your internal state over external responsibilities, mindful Mondays and time off Tuesdays and, cookie
Right.
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find who's this message for particularly. And I think really trying to get people that are listening to feed it through the filter of, is this for me? Is this for someone else?
Right.
And that point around just go harder, bro, can cause you to have a heart attack laid in bed next to your wife.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, that's something that I probably do need to heed.
Right.
And on the other side, like, am I a useless blob of emotional nothingness?
Right.
Okay, well, maybe I need a bit more David Goggins in my life.
Right.
And I think finding that balance and not having a one-size-fits-all answer.
So how does a man, an individual, pick any individual, how does he find that balance that fits him?
With difficulty. I think for me, it's come with age. It's come with learning myself. It's come with experience of understanding what happened the last time that this situation occurred and how I felt.
Right.
And trying to...
So what would you encourage or advise a young man, 19, 23, who doesn't have the benefit of the age and the experience? And what would you advise him and say, look, this is kind of an area that might help you find your balance?
I think checking in with yourself and not treating your first response as always the correct one. I think the immediate sort of reflex that we often have, especially as young men, young and men, is an issue because that you haven't accumulated enough experience for you to be able to call it gut instinct wisdom.
Right.
What it is probably your default response, which is from childhood, from the group that you grew up in. Maybe it's dad's pattern, maybe it's mum's pattern, maybe it's the teacher and the way that you had to protect yourself in school. It's unlikely that that is the best way for you to deal with things. So I think don't believe everything you think.
Yeah.
Can
we boil it down to a bouillabaisse and say, look, when you have the thought, don't trust the thought. I need to do this or I need to do that. What if we start asking ourselves why? Why do I need to run 300 miles with 2 broken legs? Because David Goggins said so? Why do I need to do that? What is the purpose? Not why for me, but why do I need to do that to make myself the man I need to be for those around me? Why do I need to say, you know what? I need to spend more time in the backyard with a cigar. Why do I need to do that? And if the answer is because I'm becoming overwhelmed, overtight, losing my balance, losing my focus on what really matters in life, I'm becoming hard to live with to those that I care the most about, to those who I am the most responsible for. So the why is, this will make me a better person for those around me. Me being able to bench press 200 pounds as opposed to 180 pounds does not necessarily make me a better person for those that I'm here to serve. It feeds my ego. So maybe a little more time in the gym doesn't answer the why, and a little more time in the backyard with my kids, that gives me a better answer to the why do I need to make this choice as opposed to that choice. And maybe that's a little more accessible to a young man without a lot of experience.